I found the next NVIDIA and other stocks that are going to run a lot more over the next few weeks and make you stupid amounts of money. I'm going to help you ride the waves of this current market, which is an amazing market with some volatility, and we're going to make some gold. And we're going to talk about the 5 stocks that I'm buying right now. We're going to grab that gold because there's so much money and momentum in the market. You have to know how to ride it. And if you know how to ride it, your pocket's about to get a lot bigger and flooded with cash. The first stock I want to talk about is AMD. Now, AMD right now is on an absolute tear. I was recommending AMD a while ago, and it just took some time, but this stock really took off. In the last 6 months, it's up about 30%. The big gains in AMD are only beginning. In AMD, it's up a crazy amount in 6 months. In the 1 year, it's very interesting because the stock is actually down. So we can actually say that the stock is on a discount on a long-term basis. And great companies don't just go down and stay down. They go back up, they recover, and they hit all-time highs. And that's exactly what's going to happen with AMD. Right now, the company has a market cap of $250 billion. This is not a small company, guys. This is a huge company that is growing very fast, and they have a complete AI roadmap where their profitability is only going to go up, and I believe that their market cap is going to double. This is going to be a $500 billion company. And AMD specifically is one of the best plays that you can have in the AI market, right? Maybe the stock has had some so-so performance in the 1 year. However, 6 months, we're back on trend. We're back on momentum. And this is one of the best AI plays that I have because it's a little bit less popular than NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the gold standard, okay? I made lots of videos on NVIDIA. If you're subscribed, you already know that. But AMD is the underdog that is catching up. And they're now going all in on AI chips, which are used to train and run models like ChatGPT. They launched a chip called the MI350, their first serious chip for AI, and it's already being used a lot. It's a very solid chip. And the next chip that they have is the MI400, and this is where it gets absolutely crazy because AMD says this new chip will be 10 times more powerful than their last one. And that is a massive jump. Not 10% jump, not 20% jump increase, literally 10x. They literally have a 10x chip. So they're becoming very competitive and they're gonna have part of the market share which, NVIDIA is playing in. This whole playground, it's a very big one, okay? We're not playing in a little city like, I'm from Northeast Philadelphia. And, it's a pretty big city. This is actually playing in literally like Mumbai, India. This is literally like New York City. This is Tokyo, okay? This is Moscow. This is a massive market. And AMD is taking a piece of it. And what matters most right now is that NVIDIA basically, they own a lot of the AI chip market, but their chips are super expensive. That's why NVIDIA is worth trillions. Right now, AMD is worth billions. And this is the next opportunity that I believe is going to look very similar to NVIDIA, where you have a rate of increase of 1,000%, of 10x potential. Obviously, it's going to take time. But AI is the biggest component and the biggest catalyst that I see in the market right now. And AMD's current momentum is one of the smartest to just ride, just to get in and ride. And they're going to sell chips that are just as powerful at one point, maybe even better, right? It's not out of the question. AMD can sell better chips potentially if they continue to innovate and way cheaper than NVIDIA. So they're kind of getting undercut. NVIDIA is getting undercut in a way. The market's big enough, so NVIDIA's, they're not fully okay with it, but it is what it is, right? And AMD is going to power a lot of our gadgets, a lot of AI, it's basically becoming also infrastructure. It is the infrastructure play. It's not becoming, it is. So that's like getting an iPhone that works better than the real thing for half the price. And that's exactly what they're trying to offer. And the market's waking up to AMD as a real competitor and a company that's going to take real piece of the pie. You guys have to understand, you have to be early on a trend. And AMD, it's looking like it's like the next NVIDIA, very much so. So another reason why AMD is good, before we go into the next stock, I have 4 more stocks I need to cover, is big tech companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, they need tons of AI chips. We thought that they needed some. They need tons. They need a boatload of AI chips, right? And if AMD can give them more power for less money, these companies aren't stupid. They're like, let me get some. Let me get some cheaper chips. Bring them over here. I got the cash. They're ready. They're ready. So these companies will buy AMD instead of Nvidia. So you gotta be you gotta be forward on this. If you want to get rich, you really want to level up your bank account, your brokerage account. You want to scale up. If you already have 6 figures and you want to get to 7, you got to be invested in growth. It's all about growth. So AMD is an awesome growth stock. Last thing I want to say is that AMD is doing what Tesla did to the auto market: faster, cheaper, and smarter. Okay, so Nvidia is an established player with huge margins. AMD is about to undercut them with a lot of competitive tech, and that's how Tesla stole market share from BMW and Mercedes. So this is a playbook that I'm looking at. Just a business bet. Okay, next stock I want to talk about is going to be Robinhood. Robinhood, man, we're getting rich AF. We're getting so stupid rich. And I'm really excited. This is a stock that I'm starting to buy bicep over tricep. And look, why am I buying it? Well, the valuation and the technicals are looking really good. So the valuation market cap, $87 billion. We're going to be at $100 billion on Robinhood sooner than you expect. This is a power play. This stock has multiple streams of income. You can already see the 52-week range, 101. We're sitting at the top, but you'd be surprised in a market like this. I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 10 years. I worked at Goldman Sachs. I had some experience on New York Stock Exchange with derivative traders, option traders. I was an analyst with the quant firm. And when I see this type of behavior in the market, we got more room to go. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of GDP growth. So yeah, I'm telling you, for Robinhood, until recently, Robinhood, they only operated in 6 countries. They were not even operating, like their expansion right now is so insane. Think about it. You want to be in a company that's expanding. You want the news to say, Robinhood now in Germany and France and whatever. You want them to continue their expansion like they're doing with crypto. And as they continue to dominate in UK as well. That's a pretty big market, by the way. Western countries have high GDP, right? I'm in Eastern Europe, but Western countries have a lot of GDP. So this unlocks really hundreds of millions of users as they continue to roll out over the whole world. So this is especially very powerful because if you look at the increasing trading volumes right now in the market, trading volume is really where the money's at for Robinhood because they're the picks and shovels play. They're also the infrastructure. Okay, so you guys kind of see a common theme here. Is my business education taught me that infrastructure is the way to go, like an Uber, like an Amazon. Robinhood's up there right now. So we'll talk about SoFi later on in this video. It's my 5th stock that I'm going to cover. But yeah, Bitcoin, it crossed 120,000, right? Bitcoin, by the way, one of the ETFs I do recommend, I was going to include in this video, it's an honorable mention, I didn't put it in, is IBIT. So the ETF for Bitcoin, very strong. Shopify I talked about recently, Sweetgreens. A couple of stocks I recently talked about. You've probably already seen that video. But look, let me recap here with Robinhood. They get paid for order flow. So when order flow is higher, when the market is hype, when the market is booming, Robinhood is going to make hand over fist. They're going to go hand over fist, make a ton of money, and they make a lot of fees off of crypto, a lot of fees on basically everything, right? They charge you interest. And what is a zero-based commission brokerage? Nah, man. They're making money. They're making global trading super power app money. They're making money on crypto, on their mobile first experience, financial access for retail traders. They're charging pretty. And the funniest thing is, investors, you guys don't even know you're getting charged. If you're a beginner and if you think Robinhood is free, you are wrong. You are absolutely wrong. Option trading costs money even on Robinhood for multiple factors. And yeah, you got to level up your experience if that's what you think. By the way, I do have a Discord community. My boot camp is already full at this point, so pretty much late. Sorry, but join me in the Discord. Mondays and Wednesdays, I am picking stocks. I'm doing technical analysis. I'm breaking them down fundamentally, and then I'm live trading. I'm trading what I believe to be the best opportunity I've ever seen in the market. So this is the most important time for you to join. Most important time. I'm telling you right now. You will not regret it. Look, let's continue. Robinhood does not lend from its own balance sheet. That's also pretty good in terms of risk. And yeah, leverage crypto without holding crypto. That's why I'm betting on Robinhood. That's exactly why I'm betting it. So if you're bullish on crypto, but you don't want to hold the tokens, Robinhood is a play. That's the picks and shovels, baby. It's the picks and shovels. So if you're exposed to crypto upside, you are exposed to crypto upside via fee revenue, okay? All right, let's move into the next stock, which is going to be Coinbase, all right? So, this is interesting. Henry's getting into crypto. Yeah, I like a lot of the crypto stocks right now, given where crypto's at, given the bullishness of crypto. Look, a lot of stocks are providing 40% returns in 6 months. So you better be, in these high growth plays. And we're going to cross 100 billion as well on Coinbase. So very similar play. And it's the king of crypto infrastructure. So it's better. Coinbase is better than Robinhood as a play, I believe, on a pure direct play on crypto. But I don't like Robinhood only for crypto. I like it because where the market's at. We're in a good market. But, Coinbase is more of a crypto direct play. So if crypto is the gold rush, then Coinbase is really the pickaxe factory. They're making factory. If you don't know the reference, by the way, back in the gold rush in America, the people that were making a lot of money were picks and shovels. They were selling those, and Levi's jeans, right? So they were selling lots of jeans to the people looking at pick gold. So this is an infrastructure play, and it's the king of crypto. With Bitcoin being at where it's at, Coinbase is really the bread and butter. They don't just sell Bitcoin, they run the back end for institutions, hedge funds, and even government experimenting with blockchain. So you want to make that government money, you want to make that Palantir money. PLTR, stock that I love, stock that I've been in for a long time. I'm up hundreds of thousands on Palantir. Do you want to make that type of money? Well, you got to follow where the money's going. Even the government, you got to follow that too. So let's break it down. Higher volatility equals higher volume. Higher volume equals higher revenue for Coinbase. Every time the market pumps, or even if it dumps, both, you're making money either way. You're making transaction revenue. So if Bitcoin reaches 150,000 or 60,000, Coinbase is going to print. They're going to print cash. They're going to, like that. They're making that money. So retail, institutional, DeFi, NFT storage, custody services, staking, and a lot more. They take a slice of every single trade. So it's all about the transaction revenue. And by the way, institutional adoption is also really booming. BlackRock, Fidelity, and other Wall Street giants are entering the crypto ETF game. And guess who's behind the scenes providing custody and trade settlement? Yeah, you already know. Yep, you're thinking right. So it's not just an exchange anymore. It's really an infrastructure play. So that's kind of like, am I a broken record here? Or am I just trying to really give you that good education? Now, the next stock I want to talk about is NEO. So NEO is a stock that I used to cover a lot. There was a lot of money to be made with NEO. I rode that stock a lot, and that actually contributed to me becoming a millionaire was NEO. NEO was really powerful. However, NEO has been a dangerous stock with investors getting overly bullish on it. The stock went up very high and then it went down, but I've timed it very well. Timing was actually on my side. Usually I'm not that lucky. I don't know, debatable, right? But I feel like a lot of my gains are just through skill. I've been doing this for over 10 years. With NEO, I actually got a bit lucky because as it went high, I was an earlier investor. This is years ago on my YouTube journey. I sold it at $40. So 40 and then another tranche at 30 and 20. So I sold it at multiple times of where it's at right now. The stock's at $4. However, the momentum has begun on NEO. There's a lot that I want to cover right now. So first of all, the bad, because I need you to be aware of this. Specifically when I work with people, I'm looking for folks that have $50,000 plus and they're looking to retire. And then, I'm giving them trades around the wheel strategy, selling puts, covered calls. That's the type of person I want to work with. So that's kind of the type of person I focus on, right? But, sometimes I cover strategies like leaps because I think they have a good place in your portfolio. But something that makes me really different from like other coaches is that I focus very heavily on risk management because I think if you're in the game long enough, it really is a factor of we're all going to be making money because the market goes up. So just holding good stocks makes money. But how do you minimize losses when the market goes down? So I'm really paying attention to risk management. And NEO has been slow or underperforming for a while due to the perfect storm of risk. It's the macro factor, it's the political factor, and it's it's on the company level execution risk as well. So specifically in the macro factor, China's economic slowdown, the Chinese consumer is weaker than expected post-COVID. Youth unemployment is high, real estate is crashing, and consumer sentiment is cautious. Even with EV subsidies, because NEO's an EV play, electric vehicles, even with subsidies, people are buying fewer premium cars. So, the overall macro picture is looking a little bit weak. Geopolitical and regulatory fears. There's delays and overpromises from NIO, and there's even an EV price war in China. And despite all of this, let me tell you, I am bullish on NIO. I'm bullish because, first of all, it's really their battery swap technology. There's a first mover advantage. So a first mover advantage is very powerful. By the way, I had a first mover advantage on YouTube option trading. Now there's a lot of coaches copying content and regurgitating the wheel and make 10,000 a month on SoFi. But I had a first mover advantage. I'm proud of that because yeah, I'm competitive, and I'm happy that I was early here to educate a lot of people. That's part of the reason why we're at 430,000 subscribers strong. Guys, let's get to 500,000. Let's get to 500,000. So please subscribe. It'll be amazing. I want to get to 1 million, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's not going to happen. it's we'll see if it happens, but it's going to take a while. But let's get to 500,000. Please, that'd be great. All right. But look, battery swap technology is a first mover advantage. NIO battery swap model is the most advanced in the world, over 2,300 active stations in China, expanding very fast. Swaps take very little amount of time. So think about it. A swap it takes less than 5 minutes. Can you imagine? Instead of filling up your car with gas, you come in, they take the battery out, put a new one in. They're like, go ahead, you're good for a long time, a very long time. So this basically enables it's faster than charging. And it enables battery as a service. Okay, so you guys know software as a service is very strong cash flow for companies with very high PE ratios. Is software, right? Because it's consistent recurring income, and that's what companies want. But NIO is kind of making dependence, right? You get a NIO car, now you're a little bit stuck. Now you're on the battery as a service. So you're exchanging batteries, and they have a lot of these across China. So users lease batteries, reducing the upfront car cost. By the way, this is really powerful because a lot of people are hurting for cash flow, right? So a lot of people, they have cash flow coming in, they have a job, but they don't have that much savings, and this is kind of an interesting play, because NIO ends up making a lot more money over the long term because they get you in cheaper, but then over the long term, you're, charging the batteries. And they're giving you new batteries, right? So they're swapping the battery. So this is very interesting. Kind of like the scooters. I'm in Europe, and I take the scooter like Uber scooter and Bolt scooter. I don't know if America has that. I haven't been to America in a while. I'm sure they do, right? There's like scooters in major cities. So what they do with the scooters is, in the evenings, people make money, or the company does. They swap batteries from the scooters. So the same thing with NIO. What's also really powerful is the vertical integration. So develop in-house chips, self-driving software, and smart cabin tech. This actually makes them a very powerful play, makes them more like a Tesla with control over their entire tech stack. They are in power and control, and it reduces reliance on third parties and boosts long-term margins. Guys, I'm telling you, don't overlook NIO. Have a bit of it in your portfolio. Of course, risk management. And look, they're already selling in Norway, in Germany, in Netherlands, in Denmark, in Sweden, and they have a physical presence, service centers, and swap stations in Europe as well. By the way, in Eastern Europe, Belarus and Russia, they are also, there's a lot of expansion of Chinese vehicles. So I expect China to make some money in Eastern Europe as well. So it's going to be very interesting. And NIO has a very big growing lineup of cars. So they got ET5, ET7, ES6, ES8, EC6. They have a lot of products, and the best thing of all, I think, is the China government support. So the Chinese government supports domestic EV makers as a strategic priority, which is smart. China's smart. China is just smart. Honestly, I know they're like the enemy of US, but I'm American. I was born in America. I don't live there. But China's just freaking smart, man. They know what's up. When it comes to money, especially, hardworking people, good economy, they're just smart. They really are. And when it comes to supporting their own companies like NIO, you best believe that they're not going to overlook supporting their own companies and making money. All right, I'm gonna just leave it at that. Obviously, China is a big political risk. Alrighty, let's go into my last and fifth stock, which is going to be SoFi. SoFi, we made. I don't even know. We made like money just came from the sky. It hit us on the lap, and we're like, thank you. And then more money came from the sky to hit us here, and now we can't even hold it. We're like this. Oh man, like what do I do with all this cash? Well, that cash is probably going to keep flowing because SoFi, it has the right formula. The formula is looking good. I told you it's going to be a $30 billion market cap. I told you I said it many times, okay? This is one of the plays where, by the way, on Discord, I was even earlier than YouTube. I was talking about SoFi even earlier than I ever made a video. So for me, I'm not trying to be the smartest guy. All I'm trying to do is be early. If you're early, that's where the money's made. You know, if you're early on Bitcoin, you're a genius. You can make a lot of money, right? So there's actually tons of stuff that I've been researching on trends and being early, and that's the most important thing. And SoFi, look, they've carved out a really unique competitive advantage. The CEO is financially motivated as well, which I think is the most important thing if the management's aligned. The vertical integration, very similar to Neo. SoFi owns SoFi Bank, a real bank, not just a partnership, and they get to control pretty much the supply chain in a way on the financial side. It looks a little different than Neo, more of an EV play, but they hold deposits directly. They make loans from their own balance sheet, and they capture the full spread. So they're playing the full spread. They have full control over the financial system, and how they sell specifically is also very interesting because SoFi, they're extremely good at cross-selling, upselling. They have a cross-selling and upselling engine. So they pre-approve you for like a loan, which a lot of companies do. But then based on data, they are very skilled at knowing who is likely to upgrade. So they have a lot of data personalization. And I think this is the key for finding a stock that's just going to continue to run, as more investors realize that this is really a data play, and they have very good email marketing. So you guys already know, whenever you sign up for any option trading coaching, or even if you go to anyone's link for their newsletter, they're always sending some emails or marketing emails, right? What I personally do is I send value emails. I send several value emails, and then once in a while I'll have a promotion and tell people about my Discord community, or I'll even send a few of the spots I'll have for one-on-one coaching for someone that has a bigger portfolio, or I'll send some, client testimonials, which I have a lot of lately. We've had a lot of success. So that's what email marketing looks like in a lot of companies. Everyone does it, right? Because email is very powerful. You can stay engaged with prospective, clients, prospective individuals, and SoFi is very good at that. So they are, sending promotions for credit cards, loans, and they're keeping their community very engaged. So I'm bullish on the brand. Let's look at the technical chart real quick. On the technical chart, you can see that SoFi has had a very long run. So in the short term, what I'm personally doing is I'm aggressively selling more covered calls. I'm a bit cautious on the short term, but in terms of finding the next NVIDIA stock, this is really one of them, because we will hit 30 billion in market cap, and eventually with time, of course, it's going to hit 50 billion as well. So this is a 2x potential, fairly reasonable amount of time, and I think that will reach $30 per share plus, especially as we hit 2026. So these are the 5 stocks that I think can explode a lot in value. There's a ton of money to be made. So yeah, I hope that you're subscribed, and yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.